In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to install the MMS on a Romanian Wasser 10. This process is going to be very similar regardless of which pattern firearm you're installing your MMS handguard onto. Before we get started, we want to make sure that we remove any ammunition from the area where we're going to be working on this rifle, and we want to make sure it's clear and safe. Once you have ensured that your firearm is clear and safe, disassemble and remove your factory handguard. Once you have your Kalashnikov pattern firearm disassembled, we can go ahead and set that aside while we grab the parts we need to install the MMS. For this video, we're going to be installing the 14.25-inch MMS handguard, which is an optimal length for 16-inch barrel Kalashnikov pattern firearms. This is going to bring the end of the handguard right up to the end of the front sight post, which is not going to limit what muzzle devices you install on this firearm once your handguard is in place. We're also going to be installing the GT-AKM railed gas tube, which is an optional part as you can run the MMS handguard with the factory gas tube installed. When attaching the railed gas tube to the upper mount, we want to make sure that the notch in the upper mount is located towards the rear sight block. You'll want to ensure that the flat surfaces in between the railed gas tube and the upper mount are completely making contact with each other and not pulling to one side or the other. As you tighten the screws, make sure that you're pushing your railed gas tube forward in the upper mount. Loosely install the handguard onto the lower mount using the 4 included handguard mounting screws. Do not fully torque these screws until later in the installation process. Torquing the handguard mounting screws prematurely will make it difficult to attach the lower handguard assembly. Attach the lower handguard assembly onto the firearm. Once the lower handguard is in place, ensure that the lower handguard retainer is locked in place on the barrel. Install the gas tube assembly onto your firearm by sliding it forward over the gas block and down. Once the gas tube assembly is in place, set your gas tube lever to the locked position. When installing these screws, ensure that you are applying torque equally to both sides. There will be a small gap between the upper and lower mount visible when looking inside the handguard. These gaps should be equal on both sides. You can then torque the 4 handguard mounting screws to the specification provided. Installation is now complete. At this point, our MMS handguard is fully installed. From here, we can go ahead and attach whichever accessories and optic mounts we'd like. I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to attach our 1913 optic mount, as well as our RC QD bridge on the M-lok handguard. All right, so we have our 1913 optic mount and RCQD installed. So let's finish putting this Wasser 10 back together. And there you have it, a very simple and easy process that does not require any permanent modification to your firearm. You can very easily upgrade the handguard for better hand placement and more options when placing handguard accessories. The MMS uses a free float design, so it doesn't make contact with that gas block, and it only makes contact back here where the upper and lower mounts attach to the barrel. To take a look at all of our MMS lengths and configurations, head on over to the Jmac Customs website, where in addition to the MMS, you're going to find stock options, grips, as well as muzzle devices. If you have any questions regarding the installation of the MMS, feel free to contact us using the contact form on the website.